On behalf of New York University in Abu Dhabi and on behalf of the NYUAD Institute, welcome. Be welcome to this talk on building an innovative research ecosystem. So my name is Hervé Crès. I am here. I serve as Dean of Social Science, and it's my honor and pleasure to moderate tonight's panel. So I will introduce each of our three speakers in alphabetical order before asking them to just join the panel for a panel discussion later, where they will give us our perspective. So, Dr. Qader Abusafieh, be welcome. So, Dr. Abusafieh is currently the head of research and development at Mubadala, Aerospace and Defense Unit, where he is responsible for the research and development strategy, and also for technology collaborations with original equipment manufacturer and academia. He is also an advisor on other business developments and technical training initiatives. Prior to Mubadala, Dr. Abusafieh worked in the US for about 20 years in the aerospace industry. His experience includes 15 years of managing research and development organizations focused on developing new technologies for aircraft structures, satellite hardware, and advanced materials. He has led several technology development programs for NASA and other government agencies. Dr. Abusafieh received his PhD in managerial engineering from Drexel University in Philadelphia, where he subsequently worked as research professor prior to joining the industry. He received several awards from industry, academia, and government for his contributions to research and development. He has developed several patents and published numerous articles. He also sits on the industrial advisory boards for 3 universities. So be very welcome tonight with us, Doctor. Dr. Yehya Al Marzouqi is Executive Director for Project Management at Tawazun. Dr. Al Marzouqi joined Tawazun in 2009 after working in Abu Dhabi company for onshore oil operation for over 16 years. At Tawazun, he has worked on various personal development initiatives, establishing, among other things, a career advancement center and a leadership development program. He also has developed and implemented an MBA in manufacturing excellence in collaborations with UAE University. Dr. Al Marzouqi led a major initiative related to the recruitment and development of Emirati women for the manufacturing sector called Daylat Project. The program proved to be a successful one, with 50 Emirati women sourced, trained, developed, and currently working in manufacturing. The program is now part of the Emiratization initiatives. While in ADCO, Dr. Al Marzouqi led various initiatives in knowledge management, developing in particular e-learning and blended learning resources. As such, he has been very active in the creation of R&D ecosystems. Dr. Al Marzouqi served on the executive committee of Tautin program and later as a chairman of the executive committee. A doctor from Bradford University in the United Kingdom, he also serves as member of the executive board of UAE University. Be welcome with us. Our third distinguished speaker tonight is Professor Dr. Frieder Meyer-Krahmer. Dr. Meyer-Krahmer also had a career at the interface between academia and industry. Initially trained as a mathematician and an economist, he earned a doctorate at Frankfurt University. After a period of research at Yale University, he served as head of the Industry and Technology Department at the German Institute for Economics Research. Meanwhile, Professor Meyer-Krahmer worked on his habilitation that he gets from the University of Stuttgart and became in 1995 a professor of economics at Université Louis Pasteur in Strasbourg in France. This academic career did not prevent him from serving at the same time as head of the Fraunhofer Institute for Systems and Innovation Research in Karlsruhe, and later as the chairman of the Scientific Technological Board of the Fraunhofer Gesellschaft. From 2005 on, Professor Meyer-Krahmer takes a great number of additional eminent positions, such as member of the Science Council, chairman of the board of the trustees of WZB, the Social Science Research Center in Berlin. He's a member of the Senate of the Leibniz Association, a representative of the Federal Chancellor for the European Institute of Technology. Professor Meyer-Krahmer, please allow me to tease you a little bit, because 2005 is also the year when you decide to join the dark side of the force by embracing a political career and becoming the state secretary at the Federal Ministry of Education and Research. My feeling to tease you tonight might be linked with my own very, very French experience of central ministries of research. An experience that led me to this puzzle. When we, like when in the Western world, one celebrates the idea of a university thriving as a research ecosystem, of course, one thinks about the German university of the 19th century. One thinks about the American university of the 20th century. And of course, like there is Fabio's voice telling me that one thinks also of the Italian university of the 12th century. But it strikes me that in all these instances, there was no central ministry of research. So, distinguished guests, I am, as all attendees here, thrilled by what the three of you have to say about this endeavor, so crucial for us here in NYUAD, building an innovative research ecosystem. Dr. Frieder, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Does the micro function? It's okay, wonderful. I'm really excited to be here because it's exciting to learn more on the NYU Abu Dhabi as a part of a global network university. I think that's a great idea. And here in Abu Dhabi, you can really observe and see and feel how great that idea is. And I would like to thank very much to Al Bloom, but also to you, Fabio, that I have the chance to be here. I also thank to you, Hervé, as a Dean of the Social Science. And last not least, I would like to thank Michael Harsch, who arranged a lot of meetings I had in the university, but also outside, to get some feeling, some understanding, some insights on the situation here. And I have really to say, I'm deeply impressed, and I mean that really frank. It's not a polite Anglo-Saxon wording. Deep impressed of the enthusiasm here in the university and the cosmopolitan approach you are running here. This is really great. But I also feel deeply impressed on the country, on your country here, your education effort and the speed you try to modernize your country and to become a visible and attractive place in the world. So that my deep admirations. The title, I was asked to speak on the title, Building an Innovative Research Ecosystem. And so far, and my view will be a little bit more, let's say, my state secretary role, which was not so horrible as you described. And as you should know, the federal ministry in Germany, the federal government in Germany is not so weak as it in the Emirates, but it is still weak. We have no central organization like in France. If a minister says the word, everything has to run in that direction. This does not happen in Germany. It's a more federal and more fragmented system we have. But the first point is I would like to start. What is an ecosystem? I will jump over some slides because I promise to use only 15 minutes. Ecosystem from the German perspective, but I also would say from a French perspective, has 4 components. There are no components is very surprising, I would say. You need, on the one hand, what the economists say, human capital, well-educated, creative, and also with a motivation, being engaged in innovation. This is called here in that university innovation mindset. The second is you need funding from the private sector as well as of the government. Finally, you need here universities or research, or I speak on research universities or institute, I would add to that. And finally, a fourth component, which is, in my perspective, in the German perspective, the private sector R&D. This is an important point. For the policy, there are 2 major challenges. One is to take care that you have these 4 components, and the other is to create an effective connection between these components. So that's the clue. If you are successful in both sides, then you are successful. I will speak on an innovative research ecosystem on the country level at the moment, but you can do that on a regional level. You can do that within an organization, so that there are several ecosystems, but to be not too differentiated, I speak at the moment on the country level. There are, for example, in Germany, an approach called high-tech strategy, which tries to develop further these type of ecosystems, but also as in France, for example, Stratégie France Europe 2020 is one, very much towards innovation. And we have also in both countries some exercises like excellence initiative or initiative d'excellence in France, which try to push universities very much to become research universities, to become more internationally recognized, and also to be an active part of such an ecosystem. That's not the only aim, but it is one of them. Now I jump a little bit. Hopefully. No, again. No, that's it. Okay. Sorry for the jumping, but to be short. This is the German research landscape, or I have to correct the German public research landscape. It's not here. And I have 2 dimensions. The horizontal dimension is telling something else on the publication pattern of these institutions, which are here on the map. And the vertical dimension says something else on the patent behavior. So that, to be very, very simple, these are simplistic indicators. The horizontal line tells you something else on scientific productivity, because this is per capita, that means per researcher or per 1,000 researchers. And the vertical one tells you something else, how much these organization produces an output in terms of technological knowledge. I call that innovation. So that you see we have several ones. We have here two big research institutions. One is called Fraunhofer Society, which is our innovation production machine, to say so, on the public side. Many patents, but very few publications. Then we have the Max Planck Society, which is our major machine for producing scientific excellence in the basic sector. Here, this is applied one. Here we have the universities, which have a different position because they have to teach. The others have only to perform their research. And we have here two others that are our national laboratories, Helmholtz Society, and this is the Leibniz Society, where we have the former president here in the room, which is, I would call it, problem-oriented basic research. Is that okay? Wonderful. And they have a different position here because these two organizations have to run infrastructures. The national laboratories, big scientific instruments, and also the Leibniz has to run, so that they have a different pattern. The German system is so that the whole system is complementary. You have complementary organizations which have their special ecosystems in-house, which have to deal with certain aims. And if I take the Fraunhofer part, in which I worked also, which is closest to the innovation track, but I have to say also these organizations are very relevant for the innovation ecosystem. This has a different financial design. For example, in this organization, you have institutes which have to earn contract money from industry, which have to earn also money from government funding in a competitive way, very much industry-oriented, applied-oriented, with some basic elements, but it means you have to be strongly customer-oriented. And if these institutes are not able to fulfill this financial design, they will be cut down in a few years, radically. That is totally different here in Max Planck and the other ones. Or what we can say also is the career path of these people who are working here. A researcher who works here, usually he works only for 5 to 10 years, and then he goes to industry. 80% of all the researchers, and there are at the moment 15,000 of that in this organization, go to industry. Yeah? But you should know also that Max Planck Society, 1/3 of these persons go to industry. So that there is also excellent basic research. There's a close relation to industry. The reason is why? Because certain basic research areas like life sciences have a so fast transformation of their basic research results into industrial applicable ones, so that also the industry is very much interested to have a close link to them. Yeah? So that these are very much complementary. The government tries to keep them complementary, and it takes a lot of efforts to link all these organizations so that you can create synergies in that type of ecosystem. For example, all these research associations here are forced very much to act closely with universities. So that's one of the idea of the Excellence Initiative, to strengthen the universities by using the research potentials of these research institutes. And all the heads of these institutes are at the same time professors at the universities and teaching, and also the leading scientists are doing that. So that you see that one important piece is how to bring them together, how to get them working with, and also, for example, here this innovation machine, and that is the machine for excellent research, also is forced to cooperate in those fields in which basic research has to be closely linked with application too. But they are run in different organizational designs. That's very important. That's the incentive structure for the individuals working in these are different. To sum up, the idea of the German government is to develop further the innovative research ecosystem, to develop a public research landscape which is strong and attractive for industry. And on the other hand, it tried to develop industry as well as an attractive place for research. This means not only for German firms, but also for international ones. This is an important element of an innovation policy in Germany also to get the investments in research by industry from the big multinationals. General Electric, for example, established a big research center in Germany to use that as a European-wide basis for their market activities. So that this is the kind we try to do. I switch now a little bit. Then the government tries also to develop this industrial part very much. It has a variety of programs. You see here, I will not go through that. They try to convince to get more startups in an area in which Germany is rather weak. Then the small and medium-sized firms play an important role. Partnerships with all kinds of research, excellent clusters, and also tax incentives are what I call bottom-up approaches. There are offers from and money also from the government, and the firms can propose together with research institute what they want to do. And then a strong selection. That's important. And also there are some top-down elements. The buzzwords are, I would say, globally the same. Yeah, health, environment, energy. You have the same buzzwords partly also in your country here. And there the government tries to build innovative research ecosystems in these areas, which is maybe we can discuss that more in depth. Now I switch to my I made the wrong one. So the 7 lessons I have. I think the first lesson I would say is that it is needed to have a long-term perspective, a clear vision and patience. I saw you have a plan within 7 years, you want to be among the top innovative countries. Maybe you are successful to do that, but I would say the plaidoyer of German experience, that takes really more decades than years. So that please be not frustrated if you are not among the top innovative countries in a few years, but if you're on the right track, that is the important part. The major drivers are talents, and as I said, deeply impressed on the education, so that the risk capital, innovation culture, and social prestige of research as a profession. This is really an important part that the public researchers, not only in Fraunhofer, but also in others, also in the university, they like to go to perform industrial research. They are well paid, better paid than in the universities, plus they have a social reputation. So that this is a factor. Third one is the necessity, and that's maybe one of my most important messages, is that you need really public and industrial research. I call that avoid isolated research islands. I give you one example that was in the case of the Fraunhofer again. They developed MP3. Maybe you know okay, wonderful invention. And so on. But then they tried to find an industry in Germany, and they didn't, because consumer electronics in my country is dead. That's in other countries. So that they did not find an industrial partner. So that then the Japanese came in the game, and they were the industrial partners. So that and today, Fraunhofer is very rich. They got hundreds of million euro for their licenses, but the country had no benefit. No additional jobs created by MPs by that invention was created in Germany. So that if a country tries to benefit from that innovative research ecosystem, then it needs an industrial basis also. You cannot push only such economic effects by supporting the public part of it. You need that's one of my messages. Then I think this is clear. You need incentive for cooperation. Each side has to understand the other one. Industry has to respect the value of basic research. The researchers have to understand what the problems of the industry is, and also back and forth, for example, that a researcher is able to translate a practical problem into an attractive agenda of research. This is the way, or internships, or however, there's a lot of things. So that meaningful partnerships is a key point. Fifth one, I think that is more or less what I told, smart specialization, that those areas in which a country has the interest to specialize and where the strengths are, you need that type of clustering or consultation of the actors in that field. Important is that the government role is not only funding, but also regulation. That is what the new approach in Germany again tries. Regulation you have is a vertical thing. You have health regulation, of wages, social security, however, but innovation goes horizontal. And there are a lot of rules and regulations which are not innovation friendly, so that you really have to go through all kinds of regulations. So that a regulation we feel is a core point. And funding, you need significant funding, competitive funding. Also, you need professional agencies which are running that. And they have to have a reputation in the scientific world. That's important. So now my last one is final one. Sufficient public and private investments in R&D is necessary. And I brought with me, that is the final, no. Sorry, it doesn't work. There should be an OECD statistic here, which is not here. But I can tell you what I want to say is the OECD statistic on the share of R&D expenditures compared with the share of in relation to the GDP says that you have maybe between 2.5 and 3.5 share. The most innovative and active countries are in that range. And I saw an analysis for the Emirates, it's here 0.5, which is not a critique, but it only I want to channel the message. If a country wants to play in the top ranking, you need a much higher share of R&D compared with GDP. And the most interesting case at the moment is Korea, where you can see that they invested heavily in education in the 1970s and 1980s. And then they started a research and innovation track. And today they have the highest share of R&D in relation to GDP in the world, except Finland. But Finland is so small that is really an exception. And I think so far, Korea is really one of the most dynamic countries which you can really see as a statistic. So thank you very much, and thanks for your patience.
So how are these examples from Europe enlightening you about like how you can bridge these two worlds, the world of universities, which is geared toward fundamental research, and the world of commerce, which is geared toward profit. You know, like how do you see also the role of the government here in the UAE? Dr. Al Marzouqi.
Okay, perhaps bring some perspective from the industry. What Professor Federer has alluded to is obviously German is a long, deep-rooted industry, has been in every village that I walk, I see a small company. So SMEs in Germany is a part of and the fabric of DNA of the society. We are, in December 2nd, we will be celebrating our 44 years, so country is fairly new. The government, obviously, they want to diversify the economy and not to be dependent so much in the oil. And we, as a Tawazun, contributing on the manufacturing side. Having said that, the sector is not free of its challenges. Number one, which was mentioned earlier, the expenditure on research and development vis-a-vis the capital, the GDP. Number two, creating the STEM pipeline, enticing the younger generation. I hope I'm not offending any of those who are studying in non-science, technology, engineering major, but predominantly a country with a limited number. We are less than 1 million. And if you want to focus on a human capital, how do we entice the younger generation? We are obviously suffering from doing that. We have taken some steps, and it's not anymore about incremental change in the educational sector. It got to be a paradigm shift. And I don't want to give it away quite a lot as Innovation Week is approaching, so quite a lot you will see the announcement will be made. There are 11 initiatives which has taken place in the educational system from cycle 1, 2, and 3. There will be also the launch of the incubator. I go and talk to the students at various universities. They have ideas. And I say, can we talk about your idea? I say, I don't trust you. You're going to take it away from me. So how do we write their IP? How do we make sure that this intellectual property is registered? And the question, the other side, do you want to register all your IP and expose yourself to the world? So it's a catch-22, if I may. So that incubator, but we are creating a space for people. There are engineers, they come and they say, I have this idea. And we ask them to go and do some feasibility study and put the business plan together. He said, I'm an engineer, I don't know all of this, to get some funding from Khalifa Fund. And that is about to change. We are taking some drastic measures, which will be announced during the next 2 weeks, where people, and this is nationality irrelevant. It is idea focused. You can be of any nationality. It's not solely focused on Emirati national as well. And there will be a place where we can get coaching and mentoring. Your idea can be vetted. You can get funding for it, pre-seed funding, and then take it to the next step. We will bring an angel investor to look at the ideas. We, as an offset program, also tapping into the mega organizations such as, as a defense contractor, that we ensure that they are also shaking hand and bringing some of the know-how here. So the challenges are greater. Internally also, the organization over the years, we have, I don't want to use a very strong word, but we have not helped engineers to stay engineers. What do I mean by that? In the organization, they usually have a single track. We have a solid, good he or she contributing engineer who's contributing well to the organization. and we promoted to the senior engineer, to lead engineer, and to the people manager. Quite a lot of time we lost a good engineer and gained not very good people managers. Yeah, and so how do we address that? How do we create a dual track, and as far as incentive concerned, that they make perhaps more money than the engineer, but stay in the field? And when I go to the head of the department, I said, you need to mentor your staff, you need to coach, you need to entice, you need to excite them. I said, I'm an engineer. I sort of left-brainer. I don't know what you're talking about. And I've been put here, by the faults in the design that you have in the organization. And that's very true. And I think that's about to change. My last point before I pass it to my colleague here is that we need the institutions, by that I mean academic institution, they need to create a consortium and talking together. For the last 3-4 years I've been involved in this field, I have, I don't know if I can use this a strong word, miserably failed to get them to talk to. Everybody operating is their own silo. And quite a lot of lab that we have built and invested, I'm afraid in some universities underutilized. So how we can bring the utilization and access to this lab to not necessarily university students, but to the industry, as well as the somebody who is in society and has an idea and needs some help. So that is hopefully through this establishment of innovation center or incubator or business accelerator, hopefully will be addressed. Dr. First said you have to have a patient. I think we always like to set a stretch goal, maybe overly stretched, but the patient is there. We need somehow to manage the valley of death. If it's an industry, we would like to see results. We want to produce a product. Where the industry, they usually stay in a research, the basic research. I'm not saying there is something wrong with anything wrong with establishing that foundation and basic research, but I think they need to up it up because the country is going to the different phase. TRL 1 to 2 and 3, I think they need to move fast and a little bit higher, and then they need to work closely with the industry and solve, problem of society and industry and put this research to human goods. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. In short, I agree with everything Dr. Yehya said. Yeah, and as Dr. Frey was presenting his slides, I was wondering, okay, so what is different here? You can't afford but try to compare. Okay, there are some obvious differences between the German experience and UAE, which are very obvious, meaning you got decades of experience in coming up with technology development systems. But one thing I felt that was missing from the ecosystem definition that he had was 1/5, I would say, square, that would say industry pull or industry system. Most countries in the West, they take that for granted. The fact that you have an industry to pull for technology is something most people don't realize how important is that before you go and establish an R&D ecosystem. To me, this is extremely important. When we talk about technology pipeline, Dr. Yehya actually covered very well the front end of it, which is a human capital education system that would lead into research, basic research at the university level, that would lead into industrial application research that will be handed into industry to actually leverage that research and use it. Now, when you think about this pipeline and you look at UAE, they have done a wonderful job actually on the front end of it already. Some universities are very young, like Khalifa University, Master Institute, NYU, UAU. By all measures, they have done a very good job actually in establishing education system to give you world-class education. Now, when you think about the research aspect of it, it becomes now a challenge between a technology push from their end, when you bring very good professors here who need the material for their research. And some of that material is not necessarily global. It has to be local too. That's one. Then you got the responsibility of industry that has to incentivize people to go and do that research. And that's what you see, for example, at the high end of the TRL for technology. Now, I represent the industry. I represent a company called Mubadala, where our job is actually to work on creating that ecosystem for industry that would actually create opportunities for research, for that practical research. Now, when you think about it, we are also very young. So it's not only academia is very young, also we are, as an industry, very young. But just judging from the level of enthusiasm about innovation over the last probably few weeks, you can tell that somehow all the pieces are coming together. They are floating somehow and they are coming together. And you're starting to see that alignment actually between the industry and between academia in this country in terms of developing that pipeline for research. Dr. Yehya mentioned something about incubation center. I mean, I would add this as a buzzword, by the way. Anywhere you go nowadays, everybody wants to do incubators, okay? But it's true that you need it here because that's really the linkage between creating a business and developing a technology. And if you have that, if you don't have that, you end up spinning your wheels on R&D. That's not going to go anywhere. That's one point I want to make, is that it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, when you consider the fact that UAE is a small country, the industry itself, regardless if you think about it from aerospace standpoint, where I know a little bit about, when you think about energy, Masdar and other, the aluminum industry here, and most of the other industries here, they are all young. Then also when you think about academia itself, and most of the universities are relatively new, you can't afford but to actually be impressed how much progress have been made already. The challenge, in my opinion, is going to be in the metrics sometimes. When you look at things per capita, it is fair, but it doesn't tell the whole story, right? And here's what I mean by that. To create an R&D ecosystem, you need a lot of synergy. It's not only the percentage per capita of patents that you create or the papers that you publish. It is also the sheer number of these patents and papers that you actually publish that leads to innovation too. What I mean by that is that you actually might find out that per capita UAE would spend money on R&D the same as other countries with time. I'm sure it's going to get to that point. The challenge remains is, well, the magnitude itself also makes a difference, right? So what you need to do actually is to think about both of them. It's not only the percentage per capita, but also you need to create a critical mass in order to have meaningful research that would grow actually and help the industry. That's probably another point I wanted to mention. But we are very excited about the fact, when I think about aerospace, for example, I don't know if you have visited our facilities, for example, in Al Ain. We make components that fly on the latest and greatest aircraft, A380, A350, 787 very soon. And these are parts made by UAE nationals. Some of them haven't even finished high school and they got trained in order to make composite aircrafts. ICT business, Mubadala operates satellites at the high end of the spectrum for both military and commercial applications. All of that for me is great because that, again, go back to the industry pull. When a student wants to do research or want to get into a research career, they want to know that research is going to lead to something. What that really means is that I don't have only limited options with research. I can, for example, move from energy research into aerospace research, into other ICT research with time. And this way you have that broad perspective for UAE nationals to get into the research area. These are probably the three main points that I had in mind to mention. So,
thank you very much. So another question that I would have is that, okay, we have the grid that was projected on the screen by Frieder with these four elements that we need to have an innovative ecosystem with like educational, an educated workforce, government funding and capacity of risk sharing, research universities and institutes, and also like a private sector. So this country is very young actually, but it has built an amazing capacity in less than 44 years. So first question, like, would you see this grid, to which you can add another fifth pillar? Do you see this grid as shedding light on the challenge that this country is facing? And if there would be like a weak link in this chain, what would it be in the short run?
You take that.
Take a good stab at it. I think for now, I'm sure the question of education system is there. So one square, in my opinion, is being taken care of. That's not an issue. I'm not even worried about the question of funding, in all honesty, because it just, once the ecosystem comes together, I think funding for research will be at the level that everybody is going to be happy with. I think my biggest concern probably at this point are two things. One of them is what Dr. Yehya mentioned, which is the human capital element, how to get actually engineers to see a great career in technology. There is so much demand on UAE nationals who, for example, graduate from in disciplines like mechanical engineering, material engineering, chemical engineering. And after they finish their education, I mean, I'm not sure they see good prospects for them, and that's part of our responsibility. I think we're guilty of that within the industry because we haven't provided the career growth scale, for example, for them. If you can immediately graduate from any college and you go become a manager in any of the government agency, why would you go and spend 5 years doing an undergraduate in mechanical engineering, another 3 of laboring to get your master's, maybe another 3 to get your PhD. Then after that, you're gonna come for a position that you even don't know if it's gonna be at the same level as the other guy who just finished, for example, an HCT degree. So this is, I think, the human capital part of it. Dr. Yehya actually covered it very well. And that to me is the biggest challenge. And the other one, again, is we need to make sure that we have a vibrant, growing industry that actually provide that pull for technology development. If we fail to do that, then you're going to have a model of R&D research, basically, of research push instead of pull, which means where it's going to go in terms of research that might not find a home eventually within country. And that doesn't go very far, in my opinion.
I would add, just to re-emphasize on a human capital side, when I look at the knowledge transfer, I look at the various documents when I take my new role, it was well articulated, the knowledge transfer. In manufacturing sector, obviously, is of a technical nature. And I asked the very basic question, I said, who is the recipient of this knowledge? Yeah, okay, we expect the like of the Boeing, the like of Raytheon, the like of General Electric, the like of Airbus to transfer knowledge to us. But who are the recipient? And I think we have not been very good in addressing that side of it. And there is a wake-up call now and clear understanding from top all the way to the bottom that need to be addressed. And always our education has been science portrayed as being difficult, science portrayed math and physics and dynamics and thermodynamics being no fun. And how do we deploy technology in the younger generation? I was driving home and I was listening to FM. And this lady called in and it was saying that when I did something that was disapproved by my family when I was young, the mother was calling in. And she said that my mother will send me to the room, go to your room. And that was the ultimate punishment. Go to your room. And now I tell my kids, go to your room. And they say, yes, mom. Can I stay there for the whole day? Because all these gadgets are into that room. But imagine if we can deploy, if we can utilize that, if we can entice these young kids, and if we can channel it properly, so we can entice them and address the recipient side of knowledge. The number 2, groundbreaking research, nobody will share it with us. That is, at least my reading from my association with the various projects. You have to co-share. You have to co-share the risk. You have to develop from co-development. You have to co-fund, and in order to reach the groundbreaking research. Sometimes also we have a tendency in research of that patience. Sometimes in industry is lacking. We want the result yesterday. And that is the government need to comes in. At the same time, the government is pressing us to be self-sustained, stay on their own feet. After 2 years, I'm going to pull the plug. And yet, the academia, we need to. So it's really a dilemma. But I think it's been addressed to a great degree, at least on a paper. And now we need to roll it out and see it in action. And one thing I want to say that, we don't have to start, life is too short for all of us to make all the mistakes. So we learn from Germany, we travel abroad. If something has taken them 10 years, maybe we can shrink. I'm not talking about, cut and paste. I'm talking about, adapt and adopt to suit our environment, to suit the culture, and to suit the maturity of the industry that we are in.
Thank you. Dr. Frieder, you probably have lots of reaction to a contribution of Yehya.
Yes. In general, I would like to learning from mistakes. I think that's a good idea, and saving learning costs. As I told this MP3 example, I think that's an example you can really use for your own purposes. I think it's much more difficult to use positive examples. For example, we have this vocational training system, which is extremely difficult to translate into. It's so context specific that is very difficult to translate that. That's what I have to say. But nevertheless, my impression, I'm not an expert of your country, but what I know and what I heard and what I got also at feedback here from the university people is that you are in a phase after a very strong phase of pushing education and really grading up the knowledge of your people, although maybe there are two less STEM students, so nevertheless, but you have really this enormous push of the education part. Now you're coming to a certain second period, building up your own knowledge, and not only buying it or transferring it. Because buying it, transfers it, to keep it in a country does not work if you don't have the
sustainability, basically.
Yes, the sustainability of the absorptive to absorb that if you don't have the people here in your country or in our country, my country, which really keeps that knowledge up. And we often, that's again learning from failures, invited excellent big research guys from outside, and we made the mistake to let them being guests in one of our universities and so on, and they loved that because they got a lot of money, freedom and so on, and they left after 1 year, and we missed to absorb the knowledge of that person and to implement that in knowledge of people who are remaining in the country. So that's I think this building your own knowledge base is really a new period which needs a different type of approach, and yet you really should try to take very careful policy design. I would be not so optimistic as you are that there is funding enough. I think it's not only the experience in Germany, but Europe, but also US. It needs a lot of time to establish agencies which have really an authority, like National Science Foundation, or in Germany, the German Research Association, which have an authority, which are well accepted institutions, well accepted in the scientific communities, as well as also in the industrial research communities. That is really, and I think you have the wonderful chance to look on a lot of different countries with a lot of different agencies and choose which is the proper one for you. But I think it also needs a little bit patience. I don't think that you are able to establish that in 12 months or so. That's really a process which needs careful selection, careful design, and also then some patience in establishing that. But you need that for your country. If you want to build your own knowledge base, you need this one. And I'm a little bit surprised, as my last comment, that you referred to put the potentials you have. You refer to aerospace, that's clear, oil, but in my perception, you have much more potentials here. You have these scarcity problems, water also. It's a wonderful,
yes, yeah, sure.
It's the problem which deals and which is challenging so many other countries. If you are a country which really is advanced in that sector, you would be an export world champion in a few years. So that, and you have this scarcity problem really here in front of you. There are not very much countries which have the power to develop knowledge on that problem and to develop and so on. I would also add, I would say 10 areas immediately. I would say you have great potentials, and I would expect you try to use it.
Tim McLaughlin is my name. I moved to Abu Dhabi 2 years ago. I come from Ireland, and Ireland has some interesting history in relation to investment by the state in research. When the crash came in 2007 in Ireland, research funding was retained at its previous levels. And the effect of that has been that the ecosystem has stayed intact. And I'm very pleased that Abu Dhabi is beginning to move, and the UAE is beginning to move with ADEC's initiation of a research fund. As an academic here at Khalifa University, I'd like to see that it was larger, but it's great to see a start. And I think that if the ecosystem needs developing, it may well be that this competitive component of seeking grants through the National Science Foundation, the German foundations, ADEC in Abu Dhabi, and was a National Research Council here. These are mechanisms which create challenges for academics, and if in those challenges they also need to have impact so they can support industries like Strata and other such industries that are in the region, then I think we can make a difference. And I would perhaps hope that more industries start their businesses in manufacturing and create an ecosystem in the manufacturing domain to create demand for our graduates. And that too builds the ecosystem a lot. So they're my comments.
Just to comment, I think big companies like Mubadala, Tawazun, over time, we lost our perhaps original intent. What do I mean by that? I think we were so much vertically integrated, and perhaps we did not facilitate the creation of SMEs in the country because, I don't know if I can use this term, we had a deeper pocket. And that did not facilitate the process of, creating that ecosystem so for SME to flourish. And that realization is there. So 50% of the problem, I think, be resolved by us realizing that that's not the best model. Perhaps it serves is on time, and we need to relook at that. In addition to that, you heard that we are working on establishing, now it is at the thought process, the research funding agencies, that you give government money to academic institutions to disseminate knowledge to the next generation, to create the basic research, to have the lab. But beyond that, the extra funding, you need to link up by design. You need to link up with the industry. And the more you solve industry problem, I mean, if you come up with the advanced material, if you come up with the robotic and automation, and I meaning the industry, evaluate you, then you get this additional funding to that. That's just to have some push toward the academia to move beyond the, if I can use the term TRL, to the basic research and getting into the prototyping and working closely. Because we would like the academia and institution here to raise up to the next level. We don't have to hop on the plane and go outside and partner with other university. There's nothing wrong with that, but we would like that university to partner with academia, so the whole things, come to the next level. So the point well taken, and what I would say, create a job for the next generation, and perhaps we need to take it off our teaching how to write your CV. We need to teach them how to create an industry, and they need to create jobs.
So I'm a visitor. Thank you for this. Is all very interesting. You talk about human capital, and you talk about the future of education, but this is going to happen in the next 20 years, perhaps. So my question is, what's the rotation, what's the retention of all this brain that comes here because of those deeper pockets you have? What are the incentives to keep these people in the country and leverage on that? And so when your own people are educated and the knowledge is endogenous, but you need those, let's say, a strategy or a policy for this years, took for 15 years. So I don't know what's the horizon, for example, of all the managers and leaders that you actually have in the country. Thank you.
Let's have a non-UA perspective first, and then I will come to, I'll make an attempt at least, yeah.
No, thank you. You took that a very nice try. No, I honestly, yeah, fine. You want my perspective, I'll give you my perspective. The way I look at it is that we're talking growth, and the way I look at it is when I think about, let's say, corporate America, where I came from, the thought process there is that every company has to grow. And I always ask the question, why? If you are a $100 million company, are you making 15% profit? Why don't you just be happy with that? And everybody takes bonus at the end of the year. The logic that they explain to me is that if you don't grow, somebody else will grow and they will come and eat you. So you'll disappear, okay? So you always have to grow, okay? When you think about that, meaning the size of the pie growing, the way I look at it as an expat, for example, in UAE, is that we are here to help grow the industry and the system, the R&D system, the education system, and everything like that. If that does not grow, then I agree with you. There will be issues. I mean, what you're going to be doing, trying to basically fill gaps with UAE nationals only. But think about this scenario of, okay, we're going to take this industry here and double that within 5 years or triple that within 5 years. Regardless of anybody tells you, you will always need expertise in order to help with that growth. Just think about the pie, not staying at the same size and trying to change basically who's trying to take care of things as much as the pie itself has to grow. And everybody has to be part of that. If it comes to that, then Dr. Yehya would agree with me that he doesn't even have the resources to do that as of today. Imagine now, 10 years from now. And when you look at it that way, I think I don't see any issues in that regard.
I think it's eloquently stated. It's a scarcity mentality versus the abundant mentality. And we always, the beauty of our nation is, and we owe it to this truly melting pot, and that will continue. We were talking in one of our meetings, the oil and gas, for example. The average age is around 40, 43 years old. And that is, soon, huge, crew change will take place. And we always need, all those expertise because the limited number. But how do you capture the tacit knowledge? Some of this, our colleague who will depart and go to homeland, and and so is once they hop on the plane, the tacit knowledge goes with them. How do you make it explicit? What process do we put in place? And you mentioned at the introduction of the ladies, and I would like to say that perhaps I'm a little bit diverting from your question, but what I looked at is say, okay, I need some of these expats who reach age 60 or they are about to retire, and I want them to be dedicated mentor and coach. Take few of this Emirati under their wings and transfer their wisdom and knowledge and know-how to the youngster. And what we tried to do, we took, I went to the Tawtin Council, and I saw a lot of ladies who, for personal or family reason, they did not finish their high school. And when I got their names, and they said, it's sort of like if I can tag it with the lost hope, individuals who say, come on, there are bachelor degree holder, master degree holder looking for a job. I don't stand a chance. But we told them that's, innovation doesn't happen as the research in the laboratory. There are some basic at the fundamental, because unemployment, if we don't address that, you have a social implication, and we see that all around us. So what we did, I took 120 ladies from Rahba, Shahama, Banyas, close to our manufacturing in Suihan. And we brought them, we had a taster day, and we brought them with their families. And then we said, this is the place you'll be working. These are our 16 company in manufacturing, and your daughter will be working here. And when they realized that we had a shift, they said, no, I'm not going to let my daughter work a night shift. So we call it Daw al-Nahar, the daylight project. That's how the name was born. And so we said, your daughter will be working from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and another shift from 1 p.m. to 7, and then and they are home. And I needed initially 30 Emirati, but I said, okay, the attrition is going to be high, so I'm going to double that. I remember my board was asking me, are you sure they are going to stay? I said, no, I don't guarantee that. But what I do guarantee, after 6 months of training, that they go back home better mother. That's for sure. So they gave me the go-ahead, and I took 55 of them, thinking that 25 or 30 will leave. Well, I was wrong. 52 of them stayed, and today they finished level 2 and 3 of City and Guild, and some of them are going back and pursuing their academic as well, and then they are in supervisory position. What I'm trying to say here, if there is a will, there is a way. And then they are absolutely superb. And 6 months later, they called me from our plant that there is a bus full of ladies at the gate. I said, what they are doing, guys? They said they are here. So I drove from Abu Dhabi, went there. They said, well, I heard that you employed female. We are from Al Ain, we want to be employed. But how did you find out our program? I said, through WhatsApp and all this, the social media. And we said, sure. So we gave them an orientation on that day, in a secure area where you have to get a week of clearance before that. So I had to improvise somehow. So, and then, now that number is on the rise and have become an integrated part of amortization. Now, participation of female workforce, which is 52%, it is absolutely crucial in advancement of the nation. Back to your question, we always need expats, and they are welcome, and without them, we cannot execute this mega project.
I wonder if we'll give you an answer.
No, it's okay.
Was that something?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sarah Shaw, and I'm from ADIC. A comment and then maybe a question. One of the things about innovation is it's disruptive by nature. And governments are very constructive and rigorous by nature. So putting the two together into a room is pretty tricky. Especially as you mentioned, the SMEs haven't been very well developed in our nation. And it's something that we should look into developing further, especially if you want to introduce innovation within our societies, our infrastructure, our industries. So my question is, in a very volatile environment, which innovation is usually bred from, how can government ensure that innovation is produced, regulated, and then developed further for usage and what do you call it? Productization or commercialization. How can that combination occur? That's my question. It's a tough question, sorry.
Go ahead, Doug.
I can maybe first answer. I think the question is wrong. I don't think that it is a government role to guarantee the transformation of an invention or a problem solution into a product. That's really the task of enterprises. Those who manage the link between the production of products and services with customers. And I don't see the capacity of a government. They can support that, they can facilitate that. They can switch away improper rules and so on. But a government is not able to give a guarantee that scientific results will be transformed in a successful product or service. I think it's an overestimation of the skills and the capacity of the government. Maybe you see it different.
No, it's pretty much along the same line. I mean, industry also, they need to develop tolerance toward mistakes. Youngest, and very much when the average age is 42, I don't know if it's a correlation. Some of the professors may disagree between the age and risk averseness. So we become, as for example, you become a risk averse, and innovation is all about taking risk. Yeah, it's not every idea that we implement is going to be Google of tomorrow. It won't be. But the fundamental issue we might have down the road that we run out of ideas. So it's all about collaborating, and generating ideas. It's not just staying within the boundaries of. I mean, I'm talking about geographical boundaries. Yeah.
Thank you. If I be allowed to compliment Professor Meyer-Krahmer on one or 2 points in regard to the comparison of Germany, what the United Emirates can probably learn or should not learn from Germany. That's one point. And then I will ask about areas of innovation. Obviously, what the United Emirates probably can learn from Germany, and which has to be stressed even more than you did. And I think the engineering faculties of the universities, of the technical universities, were the absolutely crucial backbone of the German miracle, so to speak. And it is true what you said, that it's the experience is, it's quite impossible to translate apprenticeship system into other countries. But at the moment, Germany is reinventing the dual system of training, both within firms and within academia at the tertiary level, and that is actually something which an experiment which might be worthwhile to have looked at. What you probably should not copy is, because you are a small country, I think the idea of a differentiated system, research system like in Germany, is in principle a good one, but of course, as a small country, you cannot afford it. So in a sense, I think the research capacity which we can afford, and for some historical reasons, do have in non-university institutes, you need to have within universities, I think. That's an extremely important point. So probably Switzerland might be an example rather than Germany. What I'm interested in, the further point, both looking at Germany and the United Emirates, is of course, what will be the innovative areas to look for in the future? In Germany, we had both a good fortune, but probably also the problem that we are extremely strong in certain manufacturing areas. Cars, engineering, energy. But of course, we had a roundtable of the heads of the German research organizations with the chief technology officers of the big firms. And there was always one topic, and that topic is, how can we be so far advanced in our technologies that we can stay ahead of the game with the Chinese? Look at what happened to our solar systems. And that is one, so the question is, which are the areas where to invest? And of course, one of the issues in Germany is how can we go beyond our traditional strength in other areas? And that is, of course, also a question for the United Emirates. The big areas are interactive materials, are sensoring systems. So in a sense, it's becoming more complicated because it's not a product which you produce, but it's rather components of systems which are then become absolutely essential for everybody else to buy.
Clear, very clear.
Yeah. I just want to, again, the fundamental component, I mean, I am a big fan of German dual system. In 2009, we started a program with Germany, of which we have 102 Emirati who studied the dual system. As we speak, I have 15 studying in Germany, and the other 100 over the years, they come back. But it is very, very difficult to replicate. It is embedded into DNA of the society. If you talk to some German, they might not know which school they went to, but they know which company they work for. So that has to be, and not very many success. We got Switzerland, Austria, and to some degree Singapore. We have not seen very much success, but we haven't given up on that yet. So we are working on that. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it seemed that the talk was actually very inspiring, and when we talk about an ecosystem, an innovative ecosystem, it calls from the metaphor of biology and evolution. And what I understand is that we can't push the metaphor too far, because there seems to be a great deal of intelligent design here. So, Dr. Frieder, Dr. Yehya, Dr. Abdel Qader, thank you very, very much for your insights tonight.